Bob had a satisfied look, telling me I had asked the right question. "I've been experimenting with a new sound system to help subjects stay awake," he announced. "Well, I sure bummed out on that one," I said. "I'm still working out levels and frequencies," he continued. "You are a perfect subject. If you're willing to come back, I'd like to do a series of sessions with you." "I'd be happy to. David and I decided that I'd get to stay home and be a kept woman while he works. I haven't been able to stay at home since my dad supported me." Everyone chuckled as I excitedly continued, "I have the time and would love to come, even on a regular basis." David nodded, happy that I found something both to get me out of the house and keep me out of trouble. Bob went on to tell us about his research. "The song you heard comes from a binaural beat frequency stimulation that sets up a frequency following response, or FFR. It holds the subject in a certain state of consciousness between wakefulness and sleep for extended periods of time." "How does it do that?" David asked. "By controlling the brainwave frequency," Bob explained, "we can help the subject relax, stay awake, or go to sleep. It takes hundreds of hours of testing responses while I adjust pitches and look for changes in the monitoring instruments, and I'm always looking for volunteers to help me develop and perfect this sound system." David looked at me and then said, "She'll be a good test subject, Bob, because she loves to sleep. If you can find tones that keep her body relaxed and her mind awake for any period of time, you'll really be onto something." "That's exactly what we're striving for, Mr. Magnum Cum Law. How did you guess?" "No guessing needed. It just seemed logical," David implied, mimicking Bob's teasing tone. Bob got more animated as he went on. "Now let me tell you what we've discovered about the FFR sound system. We use headphones to isolate one ear from the other. When we send a different sound pulse to each ear, the right and left brain hemispheres act in unison to produce, that is, they hear, a third signal, which is the difference between the signals in each ear. For example, if you hear a sound measuring 440 Hz in one ear and the sound of a 434 Hz in the other, the signal your whole brain will generate will be 6 cycles per second, the difference between 440 and 434. "So Hertz means cycles per second," I murmured, trying hard to understand. "Yes," Bob continued, "but it's not an actual sound that is generated. It's an electrical signal that can be created only by both brain hemispheres acting and working together. The hemispheres synchronize, and we call this process the Hemi-Sync, which is short for hemispheric synchronization. Once learned, your brain can retrieve this newly learned Hemi-Sync signal on its own at any time. In our normal waking state, both sides of the brain are usually not synchronized. They are not working together. So Hemi-Sync is like putting a new program into your brain so that both sides function together." "Are these binaural beats, as you call them, ever encountered in nature?" Rosemary asked. "Usually not," Bob said. "Beats are rarely encountered because in nature sustained pure tones are rare. But beats do abound in mechanical devices. This is a part of what noise pollution is all about. I'm sure you have flown, haven't you, Rosemary?" "Oh, yes," she said. "I just got back from Egypt." "Did you ever get a funny feeling in the pit of your stomach when the jet engines start up?" Bob asked. "I always do," Rosemary replied. "Well," Bob continued, "jet engines operating at slightly different speeds can produce a very strong beat, often recognized as a feeling in the pit of the stomach." "Well, that's a relief," Rosemary said with a sigh. "Thought I had a fear of flying. I wasn't even aware of why I got that feeling in my stomach." Two blowers running at different speeds in a house or apartment can set up the same Hemi-Sync effect, Bob added. Uncontrolled beats of different frequencies can be the cause of a lot of stress in overpopulated areas. That's why I am experimenting so avidly. I'm striving to come up with Hemi-Sync sounds that are conducive to human growth and the fulfillment of potential. Beats can be used to our advantage when frequencies are determined precisely. David interrupted with much interest. So this newly generated signal of 6 hertz. Exactly, Bob said. Can the subject's consciousness state be altered by merely changing the sound pattern? David asked. Absolutely, Bob said. People go to ashrams for years to learn to meditate, but we can put them in the same meditative state in minutes by using our Hemi-Sync process. So, Bob, I asked, when the sounds move back and forth, what kind of cycle makes me feel as if someone were playing slow-motion tennis in my head? When the beats are very infrequent, Bob replied, when they're fewer than about 3 cycles per second, you will experience the sounds as moving back and forth in your head as you express it. This is revolutionary, I exclaimed, and it's exciting for us to meet you at the beginning of your experiments, Bob. Who knows where this might lead? Bob smiled and reached to shake my hand. I'm glad to have you on board, Rosie. This could be a long-term relationship. We have a lot of work ahead of us. When do we start? I asked. We'll have to wait until spring before we can work together on a regular basis, Bob said. I've been invited to Esalen at Big Sur, California, to conduct a weekend workshop using our new methods and techniques. So we're getting ready for that. We haven't done anything like this before. The workshop is in March, so give me a call the 1st of April. My mind was racing as we drove back over Afron Mountain. Little did I know that then what I was getting myself out of. Not into, out of. Chapter 3, Explorers. My first April in Virginia was exhilarating. As I came to the top of Afron Mountain and started down the steep incline on my last lap to the Monroe Lab, my foot automatically hit the brake at a scenic view sign. I parked my car at the overlook and wondered if I could pinch myself to make sure I was still alive and in my physical body. The view was so breathtaking, and that for a moment the thought crossed my mind that perhaps I had already died and gone to heaven. I got out of the car and stood on the stone retaining wall. The song, on a clear day, you can see forever, ran through my mind. Miles and miles of rolling hills, flatlands, miniature dwellings, curved roadways, spring blossom trees seemed to whisper messages of beauty and joy as they spread toward the horizon in the sweeping scene below my tingling toes. Exploring has been an innate part of my nature. Travel and other forms of adventure have always been at the top of my list of priorities. In my 5th year, when our family of 8 moved to Elchenberger Avenue in Dayton, Ohio, my first act was to climb to the top of an old windmill to find out how far I could see. The exploration came to a rapid halt when my father's firm voice demanded that I retreat very slowly back down the rickety steps. When my feet landed safely on solid territory, I received my first reprimand for being such a fearless explorer. But the uncomfortable swatting of my posterior didn't even begin to dampen my adventurous spirit. I was still high with excitement about the view when I met Bob at the door of the lab. I thought you had forgotten about our appointment, Bob said as I followed him down the hallway to the control room. I'm sorry I'm late, Bob, but I just had to stop and see the view on the top of Afron Mountain. That's a gorgeous view, to be sure, but let's see what kind of view you will get from inside your head, he said as he began twirling knobs and flipping switches. My eyes got as big as saucers as I watched with fascination. I do not have a technical mentality. I had no idea what this control room was all about. I didn't hear anyone walk into the room, but felt a presence behind me and turned to see John, Bob's lab assistant, standing there. John, you can wire Rosie up in check unit 2, where she was before, Bob directed as John motioned for me to follow him.